a historic moment today in the Ontario legislature.
We stand together as Indigenous people to continue fighting for our rights as First Nation people to speak our own native language. That was told that they will never permit Indigenous language to be spoken in the provincial legislature. But today, it's allowed.
Ontario NDP MPP Sol Mamakwa rose to address his fellow MPPs in his first language, known in English as Oji-Cree. This is the first time the Ontario legislature has allowed and interpreted a language other than English and French. The moment received support across all party lines.
You're blazing a new trail, you know, and no one's ever done this, what you're doing today. And I just want to tell you that how proud I am of you, how proud everyone here in the legislature.
Ford ended his answer by committing to building long-term care beds in Sioux Lookout, as Mamakwa had requested. And then, a rare sight in politics. Mamakwa came across the floor to shake the Premier's hand and embrace him. For more on his historic address, I am joined now by Ontario NDP MPP Sol Mamakwa. Thank you so much for making time for us on what I'm sure has been a very intense day.
Yeah, it's been a long day, but thanks for having me.
I have to know, what did that feel like today?
You know, it was a good feeling. It was a great day, actually. It was a good feeling to be able to speak my language. It's almost like, you know, it was almost like shackles that you just kind of, they release it so you can speak your language. It kind of felt like that within about 10 minutes, about a minute into my speech. And, you know, when I first got up, I thought I was being, you know, not following the rules. You know, is somebody going to stop me? That's what I was thinking in the first 30 seconds of my speech, because I was speaking my language. And I think after a minute or so, it's almost like the unshackling of the language thing that they had on us for a long time. That's what it felt like.
Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler told reporters about how there are emotions that are best expressed through Oji-Cree. He said, you know, there's so much more to it. It's how we express things. It's how we describe things. I wonder, could you tell us what is the word that you would use in Oji-Cree to describe what it felt like today?
Minendagon.
And what is that?
It's a happy feeling. It's a happy feeling. It's a good feeling.
Your mother was there today as well, celebrating her 97th birthday. What did this mean for her?
You know, I was talking to my brother and my sister because they were sitting with her when I spoke, and she actually understood, and she talked about, oh yeah, this is what he does. This is what you know. This is the work that he does, and actually hearing what I'm saying and understanding it. And that I think you know, my mother is a very you know, good language keeper, because that's all she speaks. And I think that was important for her to see that, and on her birthday, for that matter. And you know, it was very it was an experience for her.
Now, I have to apologize very much to your mother, because I just inverted her age, and it's her 79th birthday, not her 97th birthday. So a very happy birthday to her. I do want to talk, you know, this was rooted not only in the importance of the language, but you asked a question of the Premier about these long-term beds. It's a provincial promise that, as I understand it, dates back to 2018 from Premier Ford. He said he would do it. Do you believe he's going to follow through now?
You know, yeah, I think that was the last thing I asked for, and I think we were putting him to account to make sure that that they'll do it. And you know, I think when he came to me, he said, I want you when the sod turning event, you know, event that you're going to be there, and you're going to be there with me. That's what he told me when we shook hands after that, and after that question, because it was something for him to kind of acknowledge, and you know, like that's the answer I was hoping for, and hopefully they come through and making sure that we have those 76 long-term care beds that are much needed in Kiewit, Nugan, and Sioux Lookout.
The story of how this moment came about is an interesting one. If I understand it correctly, you were at an event with Paul Calandra of the Progressive Conservatives, and you mentioned that weren't allowed to speak your language in the legislature, and he didn't believe you. How did you get from that moment to here?
So I think that after that, the day after I spoke that time, and the next morning I was having breakfast in the legislature at the cafeteria. He came over and told me that I could speak my language, and I said, "No, Paul, I've tried." And I think we had a conversation there about it for a while, but he didn't believe me. So he walked in and to the cafeteria to do his order or get his coffee, and then he came back out about 2 minutes later with one of his staff and said, "You know what? My staff tell me that you're in fact right and that I'm wrong." And so he started talking to our House leader, and then he said, "We got to make this change," and we made the standing order. They made the standing order change within 1 week, so that was good.
You said during your speech you hope other legislatures take note. I know here in the House of Commons in Ottawa, Cree has been spoken, Mohawk has been spoken. Federally in particular, is there a change that you would like to see?
I think what I spoke about is that follow the standing order changes that are required, whereby you don't do these just by unanimous consent. That's a totally different thing. But I think it's it should be part of it. It should be part of languages. Our Indigenous languages should be part of these places and across the country, across the provinces, and especially the House of Commons as well. And if there's any members that speak the Indigenous languages, have that background, that they should be, that's all part of that, unshackling of those languages not to be spoken in these colonial places.
Yeah, you talk about the unshackling. You said also in your speech, you reminded people that children would be punished in residential schools for speaking Oji-Cree, having their mouths washed with soap. To think about that and then to look at the way that you were celebrated today for speaking Oji-Cree, what is the message ultimately that you hope that sends?
I think we have to understand that language is who we are. Language is about identity. Language is part of our ways of life, and it's so important to be able to, have that as Indigenous people. And I think it's important for young Indigenous people to relearn their language, and it's for it's to acknowledge the keepers of the languages that to here I'm still speaking my language is because of my mom and dad, and I think. Not only that, we have to remember the ones that were never allowed to speak their language and lost it, and then even that overcame still speaking languages, even the people that attended not just Indian residential schools, but also the Indian day schools, because that happened there as well.
Sol Mamakwa, I really appreciate you making the time to talk to us about this today, and I hope you have a wonderful birthday celebration with your mom tonight.
Yes, it'll be fun. Thank you.
Thank you.